Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Market Check. I am Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined, of course, by Tucker and Max, breaking down all things financial markets, financial news related and chart related that kind of pertain to this current market. I kind of need the market this week because I'm a big football fan. I'm not going to talk about it too much on the show because I've already talked about it, in the precursor of this show. But my team had a bit of a tough weekend. We could say that. So I'm very excited to get ingrained talking about and trading charts, trading markets. I think it is potentially a very decisive week or set of weeks for maybe not equities, but for crypto especially. Probably for equities too, right? Given that we are at this point grinding up towards, is this going to be a lower high? Is this going to be an all-time high? I think the stage is set for volatility, which, Max has kind of outlined that he has his own personal bet on volatility here over the next few weeks. I agree with it. I think these markets are primed for a larger move, whether that be up or down. I think there's a certain level of unpredictability as far as equities go, whether that is, going to be up or down. But I think for crypto, the picture is much clearer in the sense that it's pretty obvious when you really zoom out and you take the squeezes out of the picture. It does appear that crypto is beginning a high time frame trend reversal. At the very least, it still looks like a high time frame downtrend that we've become accustomed to since the highs on Bitcoin. So, I think the clarity that I'm looking for over the next 2 weeks as far as Bitcoin goes is, are we going to sweep this low maybe and then get a bounce up to maybe switch the trend? Because I think there is maybe still hope for Bitcoin if equities can really, chat aggressively higher. Although I have a harder time seeing it. But I do think, given that window, if equities are going to be strong, maybe crypto could also be strong. But as a whole, right, I mean, it's all about finding where that demand is for crypto. You saw that last week with the squeeze on the grayscale news. That was one of the biggest rulings that crypto has had in multiple years, if not ever. And the pump retraced almost immediately. So I don't view that as necessarily the most constructive sign for upside. But hey, as I've said before, we are still sitting on support, as well as Outlook has said 25K is, kind of the penultimate level for bulls to step in if they are going to save this. So, I think I said this last week. I'm going to say it again. I think that we are in a penultimate time for Bitcoin right now, right? Like we're at the level. We either hold it, and I imagine holding it probably, means going sideways for a little bit and eventually up. But if we hold it, eventually we'll go higher, probably driven by equities. And if we don't, I really don't care to see, too much of what's under the hood below 25K. I think you could be talking about a fairly aggressive cascade and sell off if you do accept below that level. So it's as the famous Barry Silbert once said, maybe infamous, depending on your perspective, it's going to be a big week. I fully believe that. I fully believe it's going to be a very big next 2 or 3 weeks. So definitely the time to pay attention in markets. I saw some really good, just like anecdotal advice from somebody who trades markets, right? Like you grind your ass off in August and September so that you aren't stressing out in Q4. And I think that's a very reasonable thing to say, given the volatility that September has historically brought to markets. And there are numerous reasons for that, right? I mean, people can talk about the seasonality from the downside all they want, but there are numerous factors that influence flows this month. Most notably, you have profit taking going into the end of the quarter. You have the quad witching, which is where you have I think options expiring from like 4 different asset classes or 4 different types of derivatives on the same day. And then, of course, you also have a lot of interesting lunar confluence with September as well. That we can or cannot touch on.
We'll be touching on it,
or
we'll
later
be touching on it. Yeah.
But I do think September is big from a lunar standpoint as well. I won't dwell too much on that, but that's a very long-winded way of saying that I do expect there to be volatility very soon, and it's all hands on deck for me. I mean, I've said that before, and it has not been the time to go all hands on deck. But when the market presents you with these windows that could provide volatility, as a trader, for me, I'm obligated to man my battle station. But yeah, no, I'd love to get y'all's thoughts on the market, kind of what we're thinking here into the start of the new week. I know that looking at Bitcoin here, it's pretty much gone sideways, although, it definitely looks like a bleed. You're seeing some altcoins maybe squeeze for some liquidity here to start the week. So I think their closes are going to be very important as well. But as a whole, what are you guys thinking about, the markets as we're heading into this week? And we can open the floor up, to anyone here.
Yeah, I would agree with Barry. Big week, or maybe a big wick. Who knows? Big week, big wick, maybe both. Bitcoin, it's been difficult to trade Bitcoin. I mean, it's been hard to trade crypto because it's like you get these little pockets of volatility where you get a very immense amount of price action within a very, very small period of time. You'll get a huge spike or you'll get a huge nuke, and then you'll just get these terrible vol compressed ranges where it's like you both sides arguably get shaken out, but you can definitely kind of tell which way the next move is going to go because you can tell who's getting hunted more within the range. But yeah, there are certain altcoins that are showing, I wouldn't even really call it like relative strength. I think it's more just there's not that many market participants and funding is very easily flipped negative and it just kind of gets walked up. So I don't want to really say relative strength, but I think with a lot of altcoins, they're just kind of floating. They're just floating in the opposite direction or whichever way funding is more favorable for. And ultimately when Bitcoin decides to roll over, these altcoins are going to get punished. And I actually think there's a lot of altcoins out there that probably have like a 50 or 60% drop coming up soon, but they're going to be very highly dependent on Bitcoin actually losing this range that it's in. Bitcoin it's working its way towards, the lower extreme of the range or the lower end of value, but we're really going to need to see Bitcoin lose 25.2, and I'm not talking just a wick below. I mean, seriously lose it. Yeah, I don't know about that, Tucker. That's outrageous, man. That 40% move. I don't know about that.
Oh shoot, I was on mute. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
old BTC looks a little juicy. I mean, yeah, they're obviously just scamming it, but
yeah,
it's a big level for Sol. This is a do or die level for Solana, but that's anecdotal.
I think it's going to go and make a triple bottom, truthfully, on the Bitcoin pair.
On the Bitcoin pair,
yeah, like somewhere around there. But yeah, anyways, this market's it's just going to wait for Bitcoin to do something, and you can sense in the charts that crypto's just waiting for a catalyst of some sort. And the question is, do we need a catalyst, or is the catalyst just that price looks bad? I'm not really sure, but I think that if somebody sneezes wrong, if somebody takes a picture of CZ at the supermarket and I don't know, he's smirking funny, crypto's going to nuke. Like it's so sensitive right now that I think anything could truly take this market significantly lower. But in the meantime, I would probably prepare for more chop and more range. And as we move towards this local value area low, prepare to be annoyed because it's going to be a fake breakdown. And as we move up towards the top of this local range, everybody's going to think we're going to squeeze, and then it'll just turn right around again. So I think you need to do your best to formulate a high time frame bias up or down, and then try not to get shaken out of that position because it's going to be difficult until it happens. It's going to be very difficult. But yeah, anyways, I'll leave it there for now. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, guys? I see we got Will's Outlook on camera. How you doing, man? What are you expecting from the markets heading into the end of the month of September, even though we kind of just started it, right? It's the 5th day.
What do you expect?
Wake me up when September ends. That's how I'm feeling as a college football fan today.
I like how you put that, even though it's, we just started. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a couple different things. I think there's a lot of people who have valid points of this price action or at least price area, price range, both on bear and bull side. But it eerily reminds me of 30K will never break
Yeah.
type scenario, right? And I remember that playing out specifically, and I was like, "You sure about that?" And then eventually it broke, and it's kind of one of those ranges where you just got to be highly cautious, never get into like the narrative driven, I would say, scenario of thinking that certain ranges can't break, because I think that's just the wrong approach to take, at least from a trading standpoint, right? If you're long term bullish, you got an investment portfolio you're trying to build up for the next bull run. Maybe trading's not your thing. Maybe this is the range you want to buy some Bitcoin. Things I wouldn't say altcoins, but buy some Bitcoin or something like that. Maybe you can deal with that 10-15% drawdown that could potentially be in the cards here. So this is just one of those areas, man. Like I'm not convinced that the bottom's in for this price range, but I'm also not necessarily in the camp that I don't want to step in front of some of this, right? With my bull run bags. So I did buy some spot Bitcoin. I posted I bought some spot Bitcoin, but it has nothing to do with my trading situation. My trade is short, at least for now, until it isn't. And I would say arguably, yes, we're sitting at support. I can't argue with that with the bulls. But I mean, the more times you test, eventually it breaks. And I think we're continuing to test and test and test and test and test. And I think people are going to ignore that. And I think if Bitcoin got a 10-15% drawdown here, you could see alts bleed 40-50%.
Yes.
And that's what you have to understand the inherent risk is here. Your altcoin bags is what's really going to hurt you if that ends up happening. Doesn't mean don't take positions if you're long term into the bull run, but if you're trading, like you're gonna wreck your trading position. At minimum, you're gonna be stuck in the trade until you can get back out of that trade, which could be multi-month, right? It could be 1 month, could be 2 months, could be 3 months before you end up breaking back into this range if you break down. So I think a lot of people ignore that.
I want
tide capital too. You always got to think about that too, right?
So, I want to pose a question to you guys because it was the thought I was having over the weekend. If Bitcoin does lose 25K support, then I look at I'm looking at some Will's Outlook timeframes. I'm looking at the weekly. I'm looking at the monthly. And I noticed that, I don't know. I mean, I think the high time frame context of both momentum and price would paint a pretty negative picture to me I mean, maybe not with Bitcoin, right? I mean, Bitcoin could pull back 10 to 20%. And like Will said, altcoins could get absolutely incinerated. But what do you guys think about it from the standpoint that, the assets that are not Bitcoin haven't completed their cycle yet? And what I mean by that is when you look at something, I'm going to use Matic because I've just been bullying it incessantly for weeks and months. When you look at something like the weekly RSI on Matic, it does appear to me as though maybe we haven't quite finished that market cycle. We had the huge stretch of overbought price action that led to like a 200, 300x markup, but we've never had that to the downside. And I think we're about to see that throwback to the downside on multiple assets. That's not just Matic. I think that's applicable for Ethereum as well and other Ethereum derivatives. So basically what I'm posing to you guys is I kind of think these altcoins are maybe headed towards the end of a cycle. And what do you think about it from that perspective?
That's an interesting thought to play with, is like the inverse blow off top. We didn't have that on Matic.
I think a lot of altcoins paint a fairly similar picture to this. And I think the ones in particular, the ones that raised through Binance Launchpad look a lot like this.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Can we think of any coins last cycle that would be good comparisons to what you're talking about that sort of had their inverse blow off tops?
I don't know.
Bonk blew up and then Bonk imploded.
And I mean like Dino coins, like I'm not talking about the ones that launched recently. Like,
I mean, Link, man, not Link. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, maybe Link's a good one.
I can give you. I can give you an example that it would be ADA. ADA wholeheartedly
might be good, actually.
should have not have done what it did
Do
for a Dino coin.
do ADA on USD for Binance because you'll get the full price history.
Yeah. Yeah. 2017, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that this hasn't completed its cycle yet either.
Yeah.
A lot of altcoins are kind of putting in on a high time frame what people I think believe is accumulation, but is ultimately going to prove to be a second distribution phase.
Yeah, and I think it's just because a lot of people have a hard time telling that a trend falling to a position moving sideways is not necessarily an actual reversal, but could also be a continuation move, right?
Yes.
And so many people want to be early to the trade that they're buying into that accumulation range, thinking that it's some type of reversal. But the reality is it's just a range where a lot of liquidity existed and price is still going to continue to get marked down because value is going to go away. You're not going to have buyers. If you don't have buyers, value markdown is your only direction, right? If you have buyers, then value markup is your only direction. And that's what a lot of people tend to forget. We could even see a potential too. Keep in mind, I want to point this out and entertain this. In these accumulation ranges, basically the market sitting there accumulating, and then some kind of deviation high to trap liquidity before it continued down. And a lot of people, they will get trapped in that 100% because they will think it's a breakout of the accumulation range, and then it comes back into the accumulation range, and they ignore that, right? Because they're like, oh, it already broke out. It's just a retrace to break out more. And then you get a continuation down, and then eventually you break your floor, and now you're screwed, right? And then everybody's selling out the low, and you're pushing down into lower ranges at that point. Altcoins are a little more dangerous here. Like I will point that out. They're a little more dangerous, especially if they haven't completely 99x down, which I think some have, right? But then you got to question if they're 99x down, do they ever come back? That's kind of the other scenario too. And when I said it, I don't mean like will they not see liquidity? Because I think even coins that have no value or maybe have actually zeroed out in bull runs will bid just based off of some kind of BS narrative, right? It's just them looking for exit liquidity at the end of the day to get out of the coin, the bigger whales. But it's one of those scenarios where like I don't want to play coins that potentially are dead, right? Or heading to death. That's the other scenario,
dude.
too.
I think this, like comments like this, which is a good observation, but like stuff like Matic, Atom, BNB, like these coins that have been resilient in the bear market are exactly what you're talking about, Tommy, in terms of coins that are probably not done with their cycle. You know what I mean? Like these coins that have like been like, oh yeah, my coin's held up well. You know what I mean? Like those.
I don't know. Like here's the thing though, too. A lot of people argue that, right? But I would argue if you look at something like XRP, for instance, and you took the whole price history, cycle after cycle, you've only done lower highs. What happens at this cycle? We don't exceed that higher high, right? A lot of people are going to be very disappointed with their buy price. Ultimately, the bull run doesn't have to distribute higher for all coins. Some coins may end up at previous all-time high or lower highs like XRP did, right? And I think a lot of people ignore that too. So definitely don't get played on that one. I would find something with more a price history on XRP there. I think there's, if you look at the overall price history,
2013, brother.
That's probably the best price history on
it. Yeah, you got it. Never mind. Yeah. I didn't notice it was 13. But yeah, if you look right there at your floor, I mean, what did you really do there on XRP? Right? That's your floor, that's your breakout in 18. And then what did you do beyond that? Did you get a bull run in 2021? You got a lower high.
You got absolutely nothing beyond. I mean,
hey, it was a really fun week where XRP 8x'd Will. I had a lot of trading it as a market noob.
But Tommy, this is the exact scenario I'm talking about. Do you want to be in that in 2021?
No, but normies do. That's why it's held value.
This is the issue with a lot of people like playing the range and playing into narratives. Is they like to think that some kind of narrative is going to come to fruition. Again, narratives are narratives for a reason. They're a story behind some bullshit reason, right? Mm-hmm. Price talks. That's it. And price here for me, could break out, but now you've already wasted an entire bull market to try and play on that. right? You've wasted an entire bull market. And somebody would be like, I didn't waste anything. I bought it 20 cents.
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity
Mhm.
cost is the
Mhm.
biggest cost to any capital, period, across the board. No argument about it. You sat in this thing for 8 years and got nothing.
If you sat in
Got
anything
nothing.
from the previous cycle, really, outside of Cardano, I mean, you pretty much incurred a huge opportunity cost.
Exactly.
Underperformed almost certainly.
Exactly. Because here's the difference. Here's the difference. If you bought ADA at the low of your bear market at their 17, and you bought XRP at the low of your bear market 17, guess what? ADA exceeded XRP. It got a higher high, right? So your opportunity cost was much better in ADA than what it was in XRP. And these are the things that I try to point out to people because they don't like to look at common sense things, right? Did I exceed my all-time high? Nowhere,
Common sense
yes.
is not so common, Will. It's not so
And
common.
opportunity cost is what costs people money. It costs you money, and it's the biggest retail trap ever. It really is.
I
What does
think like
dominance look like now that we're having this conversation? Because I feel like that's if Bitcoin is, or if some of these alts are really about to finish high time frame cycles, then Bitcoin dominance should be about to rip.
Bitcoin dominance, yeah. I was looking at this quick. I mean, this is just kind of what you were talking about. Like they need to finish their cycle. Litecoin was the best one I could think of that has a ton of price history, going back all the way to 2017 cycle. Or if we're talking about like blow off tops, we want the blow off bottoms, truthfully.
So let me give you guys a scenario. Can you zoom back out on XRP again real quick? The same chart that we just had, the same one we just had.
Let me just pull up Bitcoin dominance.
I'm gonna give everybody a little dose of reality here.
Ooh, reality.
I'm gonna just do
Prescription
it, man.
from the doctor.
But I'm just gonna do it, right? Because I keep on hearing strong through the bear market.
So here's Litecoin. Bitcoin dominance doesn't really look great, honestly, man. It looks okay. It's just sitting at range high.
Wait, give the doctor the XRP 12-month chart. Oh, hang on, I got you, doctor, I got you. All right, what do you want to see? This is
All right, now go ahead and pull up Matic.
You mean
Beside
side by side?
Side by side. And then pull up something like BNB.
BNB.
Yep.
Is that the full history of BNB or should I do USD?
Do you notice anything about Matic and BNB there?
I'll leave it. Hang on, let me put them in log. All right.
Your markets are done. Matic's not going anywhere. BNB's not going anywhere. Same exact freaking chart pattern. You're gonna probably get a lower high in the next market on both of these. Like
when you say they're not going anywhere, Will, what do you? That could mean a lot of things. What do you mean
your
by
opportunity cost is lower in these? Because when you look at all three of these chart patterns, XRP never exceeded its previous market high.
Oh, you mean that these are not good holds next cycle? Like
correct. I don't think either one of these exceed their all-time highs. I think people get trapped in these. You got to think of these in two ways: either a multi-year distribution, a multi-cycle distribution, or some kind of bull market type coin. Right? They've all got the same blow ups. They've all got the same blow off tops. You got the lower highs on all of them, and arguably, I would say they're both performing actually worse than XRP. And XRP got the lower high last cycle.
So, guys, real quick before we continue, this is a great point. Max, what's with the likes? Yeah, there's not very many likes in this video, guys. This is getting dangerously low. You know, we might run out of likes and then we'll just get booted from YouTube. We got 15 likes on the video. I'd say TP1 is always 20. If you guys are enjoying the stream, if you're having a good time watching so far, please consider sending us one like. Just smash that thumbs up button for us. It really does wonders for the channel. Truly helps us out. Makes the robot at YouTube headquarters really like us. So please just take one quick moment and help us boost this stream. You know, just send us a like real quick. But yeah, guys, thanks for being here, and I guess happy start to the week. I know it's kind of a weird day, right? Markets aren't doing a ton, and Tuesday's our first trading day of the week. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, guys.
So Tucker, one thing I'm talking about specifically now, you may be like, oh, well, look at where these are. No, look at where the blow off top happened in XRP, right? Compare blow off top to blow off top to blow off top on BNB, Matic, and XRP.
What you're
So
talking
back.
about these?
Nope, not that range. That range for those. That range for XRP.
Yeah. That's what
exactly.
I meant, yeah.
That's your lineup. That's your lineup right there. So it's that high on those two highs.
Yeah, let's play around then, Will. Let's play around. Yeah. You mean like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, no. You're right. I think you're in that range. Probably either that lower range or that mid range, right? Like you have some upside in these, but the reality is like you're going to get a lower high. That's just the thing, right? And a lot of people are going to be very disappointed if that happens. We got to remember, look, Matic is a layer 2. It's a band-aid to Ethereum, right? It's a band-aid to Ethereum. When you look at something like BNB, we can call it a Ponzi, we can call it whatever you want, right? It's a coin that is on an exchange that more than likely won't exceed its highs. I think just your probability scenario, let's go with probabilities, is significantly lower than 50%. So if it's lower than 50%, why? Why even assume or adjust to this type of play? That's like saying I want to short the market based on an opportunity cost that is less than 50% odds. I'm just not going to do it. Neither one of these are worth my time even looking at as an investment.
I would agree. I mean, next cycle, there's going to be a lot of new projects that launch that will pull 500x's. You know, I think there's a lot of plays to be had potentially with BNB or maybe a Matic, but I view them more as like dead cat bounces than anything. And I think those dead cat bounces will be huge. And I think Solana is actually a prime candidate for one of those dead cat bounces where, you know, let's just say it goes back to $10. I think next cycle it's going to go over $100 again. I mean, that's a 10x dead cat bounce. Only in crypto will you find something like that. But I don't think my Solana bags are going to be relatively, I don't know,
even close to a new project.
No,
it's not even gonna come close to a new project. Not even a sliver.
No,
I would take $1 billion Arbitrum over $1 billion Matic right now, and I'm talking market cap.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think the opportunity cost is better. I think the bid wall is better on something like that because it's new tech, right? And that's that. A lot of that, you know, you have to look at that plus TVL plus, you know, who's building, so on and so forth. There's more opportunity costs than other networks if you're looking at networks as a whole, right? And all three of these arguably are networks. We can say XRP is a rail for money to move back and forth, so on and so forth, cross-border payments, yada yada. Look, I could tell you a million different reasons and make up shit all day long for you to buy something, right? At the end of the day, the point is you can say banks are accumulating and yada yada, and banks can use this to change the future, but we have to accept reality, right? There's too much distribution in all these, and because there's too much distribution, yes, you can exceed a 10x like Max is saying, but you're going to be distribution. You're not going to be accumulation. These things are not accumulating anymore. They're distribution. It's very much like Apple, right? When somebody goes to me like, "Hey, should I buy Apple?" I'm like, "Why? What's your growth potential? What's your dividends?
I think you would buy a lot of these for this. I mean, I think a lot of people flock to Apple for security and safety.
Yep. Stability.
Yeah, I
not
mean, they know
growth.
it's not going to rug, right?
Yep.
You know, it's time tested, and it's, you know, it's true, and it's got a lot of institutional support, and it always will, arguably. So, I mean, I think people don't go to Apple to make generational wealth; they go to Apple to keep generational wealth. So, I think
Correct.
a lot of people, I don't even like saying this because I think it's silly, right? But I think a lot of people will feel more comfortable looking for a 5 to a 10x in a dyno project than they will trying to hit a 500 or 1000x in some microcap startup.
You know what else is time tested, Max?
Don't even say it. It's not.
Link.
Zero.
No, and I agree. Max.
Wait.
But look, even Link right there. If you look at Link right there, Link looks exactly like all these other ones I'm talking about. It looks like XRP. It looks
no.
You got the blow off top, and you're
I'll
literally
pull it up,
distributing
bro. I'll
sideways.
pull it up. Where's Matic?
These do this every cycle.
Why are we bullish on Link?
No reason. It's going to zero.
We're
Literally.
bullish on Link.
I don't understand why we're bullish on Link.
Use case staking for no reason.
Dude, you can stake like everything you can stake. Why? That's not a reason to hold Link.
Just no, for sure. I know.
Oh, Link looks actually worse.
No, Link looks better, brother. Look at this.
You're right.
Look at this droop.
But that's exactly what I mean, Tucker. That's exactly what I'm seeing. No, what you drew out there is exactly what I'm thinking. Right? We roll over, and then we get a 10x like Max is saying, and everybody's happy.
Look, at least on Link, you've got some structure right below you. Like on Matic, there's nothing. On Sol, there's pretty much nothing.
On BNB, XRP, there's nothing.
XRP, I mean, whatever. But if you go, what is this? This doesn't have the whole history, does it?
Like, here's the thing that I want to point out, Max, and if you can give me your take on this, I think like if you were to take Sol's leg up, right? I think a lot of people are thinking Sol's going to do that a second time. They really honestly think that Sol's going to leg up again the same amount it did out the floor.
No, it won't. I think that actually Wabi and I are going to make a video on this, so I don't want to spoil it here. But I put together a chart for him on, a theory that he has basically comparing Solana to Neo. Similar sentiment around it, sort of cult-like communities in the very beginning. I mean, I think Solana will probably hit 150, 175 next cycle, something like that. I don't know if it'll go back to all-time high or not.
Which at $20 is not even a 10x.
But see, here's the thing: I feel like Solana is a relatively safe 10x. That sounds crazy to say, right? But I think that Solana, I mean, truthfully, I don't think you have a ton of risk of it literally rugging or going to zero. So value that at whatever you want. And then I think there's a decent, higher than not probability that it goes back to 3 figures next cycle, even if it doesn't go to an all-time high. So like, how much more confident would you feel in putting, so you might put $10,000 in a microcap shitcoin that pulls, 100x, but you could put $100,000 in Sol at $10, sell it at 100. You have the same return. You have to deploy more capital, but you're not going to get rugged on it. So I think a lot of people will look at it that way.
I want to be clear. Like, I completely agree. Like, I'm not at all saying like, don't buy Solana, don't buy Matic. I'm just trying to bring people into reality here because I think the expectations are much too high on a lot of these, and people are still anticipating another 1000x, 100x from these coins. They're never going to see that. It's not going to happen.
That move is over. They're not going to see 1000x or 100x on these.
Yeah, I'd highly doubt they'd even see a 50x or maybe. I mean, my most optimistic scenario in any of these coins would potentially be maybe a 20x, right? That would be that would be like a Super Bowl, right? Like government's coming out giving everybody stimmies again. Then you might see a 20x on these. I mean,
the relative valuations of these things are still so high. I think that's what people maybe, I mean, I don't think they necessarily overlook how high the valuations are, but maybe they underestimate how long it takes to unwind that much value, right? In the sense that, you know, I mean, Matic is still a $5 billion asset. People are probably seriously buying it. Actually, I take that back. Nobody's buying spot for Matic anymore, but you know, when they were, you know, do you really view $5 billion in valuation for Matic as a deep value? I mean, I don't.
No.
Yeah,
No.
that again, that goes back to validate the point exactly of what I'm saying, right? Like, and I think it's important to outline that on these shows to give people realistic expectations for the next bull run, because I know exactly how this is going to play out. You guys told us to buy Matic. Matic's going 100x next cycle, right? No, we would not tell anybody to buy anything. We tell you guys how we look at the price. We tell you what we're looking at, so on and so forth, and we're telling you things that look strong. Strength does not always equal, you know, 100x. Strength could just equal 5x, 10x in the next bull, right? Litecoin would have done that for you. A lot of different coins would have done that for you. If you think BNB is going to move up $800, right? I've heard people talk about $800 BNB. What is that in X's? What is that max in X's $800 BNB from where it's at right now?
Like a 4x.
It's a 4x. Like, why wouldn't I just buy Bitcoin if that's the case? Why would I buy BNB?
I'd rather buy Bitcoin for a 4x.
It's like,
yeah,
bro,
for sure.
Easily. Yeah.
It's brain science. Come on. Like, I mean, let's be real.
What is that, Matic? Oh yeah, that's my baby.
Just trying to read these comments.
Squeeze that bad boy.
Dude, this is just a nightmare, man. What is going on?
I don't know why anybody would be trading Bitcoin right now, man. Like, just wait for a squeeze if you're bearish, because whenever Bitcoin is nuked this year, it gives you some like really scammy squeeze the day before.
Mm-hmm.
I like those weekend stops, man. They're not safe. Weekend stops are never safe. When was the last time we had a trending move on a weekend?
But I do want to point out too, this is why I think like people that are short bias BNB, it makes sense to be short bias BNB, but like I'm not gonna play that game. I'm not playing that game against CZ. It's not gonna happen because he's gonna keep on grabbing liquidity. Like there's nobody's bidding
than
it.
BNB. Even if BNB ends up rugging and goes down to $50 or something, it's a tough short. It's going to be really, really well protected. And I think it wouldn't happen all at once, truthfully. Like, I think if the big short does come about on BNB, it's going to be down to like 180, then big bounce. And then like 2 months later, we have the final leg. I don't think it's going to be all at once. I really don't. I think it's too well defended.
You know what that stems from, right, Max? It stems from basically cope. What are people coping on? They're coping on because, well, and I'm going to give you the example, right? Because it makes sense.
All right.
The reason that they're coping is because they remember FTX. They want it to happen again. They really want it to happen again, right? And they don't understand how manipulated these markets are and how much they can continue to be manipulated, right? So BNB dropped down. CZ is going to wake that back up. Why? Because he can grab liquidity, right? He can take out those shorts, take all that liquidity back, and that can give him enough momentum to hold price wherever it's at.
So if they do make Nance shut down, I wonder how that goes from a market standpoint, because I do think the BNB token probably does. If the DOJ forces Binance to shut down, which in my opinion is a real possibility that people are probably not fully considering. Maybe they are considering it, but they don't think that it's likely to happen. I would say it's more likely that Nance gets shut down than they don't at this point, given the laundry list of accusations and the general choke point that the feds are running on crypto right now. Does BNB just backfill that entire inefficiency if they're forced to shut down? What does funding look like on a day like that, where the asset's essentially going to go to zero? And yeah, I don't know. It is a little bit concerning, I think, for what that would look like for other altcoins too, if that happened. But it's all just conjecture until something actually happens, right?
You think CZ would just sell off every single centralized exchange alt that he could to prop BNB for as long as possible? Because I do.
I think it would probably be a case where you have a massive exodus of liquidity from Binance, what's left. and the selling of altcoins would probably be to protect customer funds. So they're not fully insolvent, but the token could still do the same thing that FTT did, in order to make sure that customers are whole. But I mean, we also have no idea how shady or not shady that Binance is truly operating with the books. So I do know, Tucker, I don't see a single bullish scenario for these exchange altcoins if Binance does, for whatever reason, get hit with sanctions. I mean, a lot of these altcoins function for no other reason than just a vehicle to speculate. And if they lose the only casino remaining that has incentive for the price to remain elevated, then I think you could see a lot of these assets just free fall.
I don't know if they could actually shut them down. Like, they could stop operation here in the U.S., but how are they going to actually shut their company down, right?
It probably can't force them to shut down, but it's a headline, right? Like,
yeah,
DOJ charges Binance and CZ with a laundry list of things so egregious that they're also charging to shut down Binance, something like that. But I do think, like, based on what they are accusing Binance of, they're going to bring the freaking hammer down.
I mean, I can see that, but like, let's play out a little bit different scenario. I do want to play out a scenario that doesn't play in the favor of the U.S. Binance gives all customer funds back to U.S., stops operations in U.S., and moves on. Right? Then what can the U.S. do? Technically nothing.
Technically nothing. But I would argue that I don't see a path towards spot ETF approval as long as CZ and Binance are in the market.
No, I think they've already done that. I think they've already driven CZ out of the market. I think they're wanting to push Coinbase into the market, and this is the whole intention of this move. I don't think it has anything to do with is CZ malicious or not. I think they have
still
targets.
In the market, though.
I wouldn't say that he's out of the market.
Yeah, what do you mean?
No, out of U.S. markets.
Right? Yeah, but
I think it's just like the Bitcoin and crypto market in general, right? Because the number one thing that regulators have cited, or that I've seen cited in what will delay an ETF approval, is the fact that the market is very manipulated. I think that's literally the word that the feds have used. I don't know if they might let Tether stick around, because I think the stablecoin narrative does lend a bit of credence to the USD as the global reserve currency.
Crypto would collapse without Tether, in
my
opinion.
Right. I think Tether could maybe survive, but I don't see any scenario where they let Binance ride up. I don't think Larry Fink is going to be buying CZ's bags. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's a scenario, but I wouldn't rule out also that, they can't just literally just pack up and all right, we're out. Here's all your money back to U.S. And then the U.S. just gets stuck. What are they going to do? You can't go after somebody if they return funds and they're like, screw you, we're just not going to deal with you. I've seen a lot of crypto businesses this year literally say we're just not going to distribute to U.S. customers, right?
Well, what if they just get hit with a $10 billion fine and they're just destroyed?
But they can't do that because here's the thing. I'll give you the scenario where they can't do that. They return all U.S. funds and shut down all U.S. operations, and there's nothing to go after them for. Literally nothing. You're basically stating I'm not gonna fines come with the intention to stay in the market of where you're at, right? So if you want to stay in U.S. markets, you're gonna pay the fines. If you're like screw you, because here's the thing, in crypto there are so many ways around these regulations and stuff, and I'll arguably say DEXs, right? Decentralized exchanges. That's the best way around all this BS, because I can buy anything that's not technically U.S. citizens are not allowed to buy through a DEX, anything. And I'm just being realistic about it, and I think a lot of people ignore that, right? When it comes to these markets, they ignore the fact that liquidity flow could still remain to exchanges that are not in market and that are not operating through U.S. And I'm not saying there can't be inherent risks with Binance and BNB. I think there's more risk to capital for them not to be in U.S. markets than to be in U.S. markets. But arguably, if they were to go that route, I think that they could skirt right around all this stuff, every bit of it.
I don't know, man. I think if the DOJ wants you, they're gonna get you, man. I think we need.
You gotta have cause, man.
Joe on this show. That's what we need.
I mean,
What?
Let's get
look,
Merrick Garland on this show to talk about the charges
Yeah.
bring into Binance.
I do agree with you, Tucker. Like, I'm not a lawyer, so like there's potential they could still go after them. But I think you just lessen that whole scenario of oversight if you just return everything and then just cut off operations and just be like, we're just not going to deal with it. And yeah, there's still scenarios where they can come after them. I definitely think that that's a possibility. But I think it makes it that much harder for them if they cut off everything, give everything back, and then just wipe out everything. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying with that? It's just it's kind of like a 50-50, and I don't like playing 50-50s. I like playing 60-40s, 70-30s, stuff like that. And that's me actually being positive more in the way of saying, like, you guys do have validation in what you're saying, but there's also validation to the other side. It's just too close to me.
I think at this point, in terms of headline risk, it's probably at least 60-40 to the negative side, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to look at that differently.
Just solely headline. You know what I mean?
People want to believe that the Binance headline risk is already priced in. I
don't think it is. I remember people talking about how FTX was priced in. FTX went to zero, right? And
everything's priced in
until it happens.
Yeah, until it happens, exactly. And this is why the priced in narrative is just bullshit, right? The only thing that gets priced in at the end of the day is Fed rate hikes. That's it. Everything else is just a number, right? Until it happens, and then once it happens, everybody freaking panics.
So I'd love to show you guys a chart I have really quickly, kind of how I'm viewing the current price, just like really briefly. Because, hold on, let me share my screen.
Maddox putting in that little blow-off candle.
Good.
I think it just put it in. It's either doing my fractal that I have up right now, and everybody who's short Matic is going to literally die right now. Like, everybody.
Wait, what?
I'll show you my schizo fractal after.
Oh, man.
Oh, I got a few schizo fractals, man.
Same.
But Maddox going to zero, period.
Best I could we at least do 1 or 2 cents so we can cover? If it goes to zero, we might not be able to cover, man. That wouldn't be good.
So don't forget about the FTX collapse when they got to a point where they couldn't even pay out anymore and they just shut down all the Schwitz loans.
That's why you do it on a DEX, brother.
Yeah.
So
wait until you find out your DEX isn't truly a DEX. That'll be the day. Yeah.
Don't tell me that, Max.
Don't say that.
Wait, hang on. I'm so sorry, Tommy. Keep this up. Don't touch anything. Guys, something terrible just happened. And we actually can't continue the stream until we get to 30 likes. Guys, we're at 23 likes right now. If you are enjoying the content so far, please consider sparing a like to the Because Bitcoin team here on Market Check. It really helps us out, helps us grow, helps out the channel tremendously. We got 24 likes right now. Our final TP on the stream while we're live. First TP was 20 likes. We already took profit there. We got to take a final TP at 30 likes. Right now we're at 27. So yeah, guys, we need 3 more people to like the stream. I'm sorry I have to be so stubborn, but you guys always come through. Like, it's never been an issue. Actually, sometimes you guys take it way too far. Like, I asked for 30 likes pretty politely, and you guys one time you gave us like 90 live or something like that. Absolutely obscene. Actually, no, it ended up being 90 on the replay. I think it was 60 live. So anyways, 30 should be pretty doable for you guys. Maybe I should start setting the bar a little bit higher. Right now we're at 28. So if there are 2 people out there and you've been watching this stream and you're like, hey, that was pretty good, I've been enjoying this conversation, consider throwing a like our way. Right now we're at 29 likes. We just need 1 more. But I'm confident you guys will come through. We'll get that 30th like. So let's kick it back to Tommy so he can finally show us this fractal. Go ahead, Tommy. Thanks.
No, I'm just kind of like on the topic of market cycles, right? Like, I view this as one market cycle, for example, right? We had the pump, we had the eventual return to origin. Like, that's the completion of a cycle. The high time frame, distributive top, 3 drive, you can see it here as playing out really well. And I actually didn't even put this purple, like the purple fractal has been there for like 2 weeks. So I thought that was really interesting. But, it's funny how price action always tends to replicate, right? If that is the case, then, I mean, this looks fairly similar to me from the way that price has kind of formed a topping pattern. Hasn't been exactly the same, but it mechanically looks pretty similar. So I am anticipating, maybe we get like, let me just hide these. Maybe we get like a small pop like this.
That pop right there, Tommy, would be precisely what we saw. When was it? It was back in
Back in a week ago when I took that long.
no, it was back in May and June of 2022. If we got another pop like that, it'd be like literally identical.
I'm not gonna lie, Tommy. That's exactly what I'm expecting, man. I'm expecting another scam grab, lower high, and ultimately, if we get a lower high, you're cooked, man. I think you come back down and revisit those lows, you're breaking through it with force. So
it makes sense to have some sort of like small BART scam up here before rolling over. And
Yeah.
I love that I marked out these 3 dates before the month started for different reasons. Like this is a new moon date that's going to be very big, in my opinion. This is a date that's important for CZ's sign. And then this is harvest moon. So I thought it was pretty ironic that the potential for downside lined up almost exactly in that window. But that was just something I wanted to share.
So that was. Can you go back to your chart, Tommy? Can you keep it up? We can talk about it for just a minute.
Yeah, for sure. You want to talk about the vertical lines?
I want to talk about it all. But yes, I do like your vertical lines.
New one.
So what are the dates? What's the first date on that? The first vertical line?
September 14th.
Okay, so that's next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be our flat out new moon. New moons are typically bearish for crypto as a whole.
Okay.
The 19th, I can't remember why I marked it out, but it is a date that's significant for change within the Virgo symbol that CZ has. It's technically Virgo season until the 14th, and then we're shifting out of it. And I was reading we're in retrograde until the end of the month, so it's still technically Virgo season. I don't really understand astrology that well, guys. I mean, this is the most amount of research I've ever done into it, and it's ironically for a trade. But these are dates that I have marked out as significant this month for lunar purposes, yes. And then the last date is Harvest Moon, which is my favorite lunar event of the year.
So do you think that, gun to your head, we would put in a new local low somewhere within those lines, or you're talking the nuke would commence within those lines?
Probably both. I mean, it's going to be I think it's going to be a big move. So it's not going to be the thing that's done in one candle, right? Like, okay, this is probably something that occurs into the end of September if it's really bad. And if it plays out similarly, right? And then I was also playing around with some higher time frame stuff if we really want to replicate stuff, but I don't want to. I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, that's way too long of a cycle.
Yeah, I've played around with the idea. I mean, I like your comparison of the 64K Wyckoff distribution to the same type of distribution we're having here. Not that it's just a distribution, right? Like everyone became familiar with the Wyckoff distribution at 64K, but I think that it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's just like 1, 2, 3 big moves on the higher time frame. We had a flush down, and now, maybe we come back up to set a lower high, or like this is the lower high, but yeah.
I think that we're putting the tops that we're forming this week will probably, I think for me, they're going to be good short entries, but we'll see.
I want to show you guys my schizofractal.
So somebody asked the question, and they said, what is the size of Binance versus Binance US? And I'd arguably say Binance itself dwarfs Binance US. What's your guys'
for
opinion?
Sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I think that's something else important to take into consideration, and that's why I brought up the whole conversation of them just wrapping up returning U.S. funds because they have so much liquidity in their international. Even if they're doing something weird or funny business behind the scenes, they would have enough liquidity in international to return all U.S. funds and shut down operations and continue, whatever they're doing with regular Binance. If there's anything actually occurring in the background, right? Because obviously most CEXs are black boxes you can't see in at the end of the day.
I thought it was interesting when Binance US shut down that or like shut down in the US that the altcoin liquidity from the market, that was the weekend that altcoins randomly crashed. Like it wasn't random, but when they crashed like 40 or 50% in one way. And it makes me wonder, like, what was CZ cooking in the books that Binance US was essentially all of the altcoin liquidity? I have no idea. I think the deeper we get into this bear market, the less confident I get that CZ is not swimming naked.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think there's any credence to this fractal, or am I going crazy over here?
Is that Matic?
Matic versus the Bitcoin FTX range low.
Where's the inverse chart, Max? I thought we had her inversed.
Dude, look at this.
I know. I thought you had the same thing.
Yeah, but that can't happen, right? Matic's not going to. Matic's not going back to 80 cents.
I don't think there's enough open interest for that personally. But
again, look. Let's entertain the 80 cents conversation. Let's entertain the $2 conversation. You're getting a 4x. Nobody cares about Matic. That's all I'm saying. Like it's literally just like buy Bitcoin if that's the case. If you're looking at these two scenarios together,
mentions, man, they might freak out on you.
I have to keep it real on these things, man. Like look, you could play these fractal side, but you could say bull run $3 Matic. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Dude, I'm talking about this happening within like 2 weeks.
No, 100%. Yeah. No, but I just man, Matic is just one of those coins.
This better not
happen.
This better not.
Except for trading,
Max. That is propaganda, brother.
I don't think it's gonna happen, Max.
That is propaganda.
I don't even know. Like, I don't think there's. The context is key, right? Why did that happen at the Bitcoin range low? Price had been going down straight for a year, being shorted heavily. I mean, Matic's been shorted really heavily. It's been going down basically all year. Right.
It could be rolling back out, but
if Bitcoin and ETH roll over, I don't think an altcoin like Matic could do something like this.
I think you'd probably see longer sideways if we're going to do that. It needs more time to build up open interest and positions to get a 30% move higher, because we flushed 25% of the open interest just on that wick last week. So it would be that much more short interest to create a move that big.
Yeah,
I think the asks are pretty heavy on Matic.
Clearly reflected in the funding.
I like this chart though, Max. That looks really good.
Well, who's gonna bid spot, man? Are you talking about solely perps driven squeeze?
That's all it would be.
I mean, the squeeze we just had from the Grayscale news, that only got Matic up to what, 62, 63 cents. Maybe depending on what
14%. That was a 14% candle.
Honestly,
I don't even know what would cause Matic to full BART to the upside. Like, I don't even know of a single catalyst that could do that.
I don't know.
Becomes the world reserve currency.
I don't know if you were memeing earlier, Tucker, but like, I don't think like what you said is out of the cards either. This could completely inverse from where it's at and rip down the way that he's got that showing up.
Yeah, no, Max.
Because you are at
resistance. Inverse Matic chart.
you are at resistance.
Go inverse Matic?
Yeah, inverse Matic Bitcoin bottom.
Like this?
How did you have it? You literally drew it perfect.
No, I mean, I like that. I don't think that's bad at all.
Wait, what are you talking about, Tucker?
You had, what did he have, Starlax? You had Matic inversed with the Bitcoin bottom on top of it. And it was going to like 5 cents.
Oh, no.
I got Doom fractal.
Oh God.
Where is that? That's what we need.
Where's
I
that?
can. Let's see what that. I haven't loaded that fractal in a minute.
Oh, so where's that one?
Oh, I got
want
some
to see
Doom
that one.
fractals.
I know
Don't
we
even
got-
worry
I know
about it,
we
man.
got that one still on the chart.
Or we're right there in July 17th.
I got some. Wait, where'd all my stuff go?
July 17th,
No.
Max.
Where's all my stuff?
Oh, I think it might not. Oh, it's one of those fractals that doesn't work without log on. Gross.
Oh,
Yeah.
Get out of here.
That's a red flag, typically, Tommy.
Hang on, let me see
I
if
don't
I
think the
can.
people are ready for this one.
Tommy,
There we go.
please.
No log. Log doesn't work. That's a red
Man,
flag.
the people are not ready for this one, guys. It basically says it's like here. It's probably this week that we start.
Yeah, Tommy, come on.
All right, I'll share my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Tommy's got it under control. Oh,
Oh,
When I say end of a cycle, this is what I mean. Like point return to origin.
So what you really mean is end of an era.
For Matic, maybe. But I don't think that this paints a very great picture.
I don't know. I think Maddox closer to BNB, XRP. I think they're all gonna do the same shit. Like
That's why I'm
you're gonna
very.
get a
what?
bull
Go
run.
to zero?
That's
I
why
mean,
I'm
eventually,
very
but-
Matic. Is because
Like,
it's connected with BNB.
You have to keep in mind always, right? When you get those massive run-ups like that on something like an altcoin, like it's cooked. It's cooked from there. Your upside's capped. You've already missed the move.
Just like I zoom out and I look at the magnitude of some of these moves, man, and I would, as much as I would love for the traditional cycle to play out, it just feels like something like this.
Well, it
more time.
will. Yeah, that's it.
It
That's
needs
it.
more time to go sideways. Like
And-
it 99,000% off the low.
Tommy, put it in log. I know you don't like log, but put it in log.
I feel like not having it in log illustrates it better, though, Max.
No, it
Oh.
doesn't. Look at that. It's going to retest the top of that previous demand before the bull market. There's your inverse cycle.
5 cents.
Tommy, what you just said is the key to the whole conversation, right? And
Yeah,
that's
right
it. They just you're 99,000x off the low. Why would people not be selling into you? Like, oh well, you'd be down right now. Look, you're 50% down. Look, guys, we got to come to reality. Like some of these altcoins are just done.
Oh, Tucker, I got the fractal. Let me recreate it.
Yeah,
I
knew you had it.
deleted it. I deleted it, but I'm seeing it right now.
I
Okay.
knew you had it.
Hang on. It's in the head, man. Should we do it live? Let me make it live. I think I see it. All right. So I was just looking at this, and then I went right here, and I was like, oh, that's the bottom right there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's do this right now. Yeah, Tucker, you are correct, brother. You ain't seen propaganda yet.
You ain't seen propaganda yet, brother. There she is,
Yeah.
man. She's starting to run.
Dude.
Is that inverse?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's where we got the fractal.
That's
Trying to
that.
remember where-
Yes, I
I
knew I wasn't
forgot.
crazy.
I tweeted it at
I knew I
SC.
wasn't
That's what I
crazy.
did.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I remember this. SC was bared up on Matic, and I was like, I got propaganda for you. Don't even worry. Don't even worry.
We're about to expand.
What does that mean for Ethereum if all of the ETH derivatives look ready to expand to the downside? Because I feel like that's something that people have talked about downside for Ethereum, but nobody, I mean, the concept of new lows is very hotly debated, right? I mean, we've had numerous debates on the show about it, on the spaces about it.
For altcoins, I haven't argued with you guys at all.
Right.
On-
What are
on
you
the-
thinking on
right
ETH,
there.
Will? If ETH derivatives could potentially fall this much, what does that mean? For Ethereum?
I think we see some funny business where we see those for some weird freaking reason capitulate into ETH. right?
It's ogre.
Polygon dumps, everything else dumps. You're going to see it roll back into ETH to support ETH's price. Like people are treating ETH like it's Bitcoin, right? And every layer that exists on Ethereum will support Ethereum. Every layer that doesn't exist on Ethereum will support Bitcoin. And it's a really weird place to be in, a really weird situation to be talking about. But that's my thoughts on all this, man. I think it's all
Bro, it is completely over. Tucker, thank you for reminding me that I made
pyramid
this
supporting the
Anytime,
pyramid.
anytime, Max.
Dude, it is ogre doesn't even begin to describe this.
What-
Sorry
what-
to just like derail what you said, Will, but I
No, you're good.
forgot about this, man.
What do you think about that thesis, Tommy? Of what I just described?
I think that ETH will benefit naturally from right, like layer ones and ETH, specifically on-chain stuff capitulating. You know, it's going to capitulate into ETH or USDC. Maybe not to the same degree as Bitcoin, but that does probably prop it up. I just wonder, you know, Will, I don't know if you saw, I don't think I posted in the Discord yesterday. I can share my screen one last time, but I really even hesitate to share this because the speculator in me hates it. But I saw an uncanny comparison between the Ethereum price action right now and Amazon from the .com bubble.
Look, don't go there. All right, I've seen
Go
that
there.
one.
I'm
I've
going.
seen that one.
Go
man.
there.
Oh, I'm going.
Let
I've
him
seen
cook.
that one.
Let him cook.
All right.
I think the putting my chart on log messed my fractal up, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to come back.
Is he on right now?
This is me still. I'm still on my Matic to zero chart. Could we be here, Tucker? Do you think?
Oh, blue box for sure.
Look, systemic
I mean-
risk, bro. I can see it, but like, I don't see systemic risk right now.
This is Binance going down, selling every single Matic they own.
I'm not talking about Matic. I'm talking
Man.
about his discussion. But go ahead.
What discussion?
The .com error with Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even find it from yesterday. That stinks. But
relax.
it looks pretty uncanny, Will. And if that does happen, it basically implies that ETH could go to like $400 or $500.
Look, I've very much entertained those prices. I just don't talk about it openly on stream. But like, I have very much entertained those prices. And
Can we remake the fractal right here
It's-
then? I can remake it quick.
Yeah, let's remake it. Let's go to Amazon price action and in the wake of the tech bubble.
Great, let's do it.
I hope that these don't play out, quite frankly. But as we get deeper into the bear market and price is developing, it begins a little bit harder for me to see it not happening.
But wouldn't you see every layer 2 trying to support ETH essentially, right? Because their survival essentially depends on ETH survival. So
What do you mean trying to support ETH?
So, or do you?
So what I mean by that is like rotation of capital from all these layer 2s that exist on Ethereum back into Ethereum to support
By the retail participants?
not by retail, but by like whales and people that are involved in the projects that exist on or more or less built on the backs of Ethereum. Right. And this is the problem.
The team maybe, but retail will just go cash probably.
This is the problem with a lot of these altcoins is that you are so deep into something that technically you shouldn't be involved with financially, because if Ethereum fails, all these things built on it fail.
Needs to
Right.
be off log, by the way, Max, I think.
So a lot of these are going to be in the camp of, where they have to or are being forced to support Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. But go ahead, Tommy. You can jump in there on that.
I'm torn on if I think, because I almost wonder if that's already happened, where people capitulate out of L1s into Ethereum, and I wonder at this point if they capitulate out of an L1 or an ETH derivative, they'd probably just do it for cash, given the valuations that we're seeing right now. So I'm kind of torn on it because from a rotation standpoint, it makes perfect sense. I agree with you, but I don't, it might've already happened.
I'm talking more from the dev side, even, right? The team create.
That's true. I mean, devs will definitely leave Solana if it goes back to $8. Oh, that's pretty clean, Max.
I
Mm,
mean,
I mean,
It's to me, it's the same chart, but what we're seeing with a lot of these altcoins is prolonged cycle or a prolonged second distributions phase because of perp markets, right?
whoa,
I don't know about that.
whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
Max,
let me go
Max,
down
Max,
here.
Max. Have mercy.
Here, let's not even try to massage it. Let's do this instead.
Look, we're just gonna name the show.
You want to get the 3 drives for Amazon in there, I think.
You want to go back to this point of origin, right?
We're gonna
This-
rename the show. You haven't seen propaganda yet, but go ahead.
Yeah, yes, we are.
We're gonna rename this show Propaganda. Bearish
Yes.
Propaganda Day.
Oh man.
Sorry if you were bullish. That is not the slant we are striking today.
I mean, I'm bullish bull run. I'm just not bullish altcoins right at the moment. I think there's potential blood in the street.
Capitulate into
For
Bitcoin,
sure there is.
and the new cycle starts.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying, guys, 600 to $700 ETH for like 9 months at this point. Just
I'm going to continue though, and I did point this out the other day. This isn't me trying to like get clout or any of that stuff. I'm just not stupid. I am going to continue to DCA Bitcoin down, right? Like I think that makes sense from a 5K level, up 25K, which I bought. 20K I'll buy, and if we get to 15, I'll buy again. That's just what it is. I'll just buy deeper. But I think like if you're looking at altcoins, you could arguably go down another 99%, 50%. Like you don't know where these things are going on a lot of them.
Yeah.
Floor accumulation price is just not there as far as liquidity goes, and liquidity is only leaving the space versus inflows. So it's a hard one, man. You just keep saying you see that manipulation around that 1 trillion, but it's teetering the 1 trillion market cap for total crypto market cap, right? Like if you get under that 1 trillion, man, you could potentially collapse pretty hard. 750, 850. Like you don't want to see it go below a trillion. You're gonna get wrecked.
Man, I'm looking at that ETH high time frame like range that it's forming, and it looks a whole hell of a lot like the redistribution range Bitcoin formed at 33 to 47K before marking down to 7.
Guys, like look,
I know what you're talking about.
you got to understand the systemic risk at .com and where we're at now. All right. You need a headline. You need a headline systemic risk. We don't have one. We just don't have we could speculate.
That's true.
But
we are just speculating as far as
hang on.
but
Hang on. Will, what was the systemic risk at 69K?
Too much froth. Way too much froth.
That's
right?
not systemic
But-
risk, though.
No, I'm saying no. Hang on. I'm saying price. I'm saying price is gonna move, and then you'll see the headlines, right? At 69K, there was nothing wrong. Yeah, it might have been frothy, but that's not like a real high time frame catalyst. Just being frothy.
There was the second you saw the Fed come out and start giving stimmies, it's over. Right, like anybody from a macro
They
standpoint,
didn't do that at the all-time high. They did that before the all-time high.
They did that to support, and you knew.
I'm saying Bitcoin will be down 40% from here, and then they'll be recessions here, or interest rate this, or whatever.
Well, let me give you a different perspective. At the bottom of COVID, that's when they came out with stimmies, right? They came out with
that's different. I think that's a very unique situation. What I'm saying is I think you're right, but I think that price will move before the headline is clear.
Oh no, I agree. No, I always say price before anything, right? But I need to look at this from like a macro standpoint. Do we have banks potentially collapsing? Arguably no. right? At this point, but do I think they'll collapse? Yes, but at the same time, if they're in favor of the U.S. Fed and in favor of the government, what are they going to do? They're going to backdoor QE them, right? We've already saw it. They've already done it. Like they're telling us, hey, we're going to keep these things from collapsing, even at the cost of your capital, right? And this is the real risk here is them coming in and QEing this shit again. Like that's really the real risk here. And because I think once something starts to collapse again, they let the things collapse that they want to, which is what I think they did with SVB. I think they had no intentions of helping them at all, and they wanted them to collapse. And this was all manufactured, and we could say that's tinfoil hat or not. But they came in and saved other banks. Why didn't they save SVB?
They didn't care about saving the bank, but they insured the depositors. They saved the depositors, right? They let
Yeah,
the
but
bank-
that's because again, I think that's all manufactured at the end of the day because they did help other banks from collapsing. They came out with the program after they let SVB collapse and a few other banks. They came out with a program like, hey, we will lend you guys money so there's no collapsing happening for all the rest of the banks.
There she is.
And you pay us back the capital, right? Like this is the problem with the Fed is they're coming out and they're playing freaking games with the market. And I think like the way the government's just gotten smarter. They've just gotten smarter about it. That's all it is. Now I think something collapses at a certain point that they can't handle, a falling knife scenario. But I don't think we're there yet, personally.
Tommy, you were spot on with this distribution.
Oh yeah, it looks the same, man.
Look at that.
It's
That's
probably the same part of the cycle for ETH that it was for Bitcoin.
So same playbook.
you're like here. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I think what Evan said there is important too. He says he doesn't even watch the news. He doesn't want to get caught in the narrative. I don't watch the news either for that reason, because I like price to dictate my decisions, not news-driven catalysts.
bro, only boomers watch the news, man. It's just how it is.
Tucker, go to my screen real quick.
Okay.
I gotta run though, guys. But good talk.
See you
Sorry
well.
for if I was over talking to anybody.
No, go for it.
You're good.
All right, man. I'll see you guys later.
See you
All
well.
right. See you, bro.
The speculator in me hates this. I'm gonna
This
be
is propaganda if I've ever seen
You
it.
ain't seen propaganda yet, brother.
honest. But look,
Yeah.
look at the timing here, and look at this bad boy. Look at the timing here.
Dude.
Is that the inverse accumulation?
Yes, it is. That's
mean-
this is too much playing around here. I'm gonna hide this.
Go
I
back
don't
to
think
ETH.
But
I like the downside target. Like I think that makes sense for reaccumulation, but I don't think you'd get it another time. Like I think if we did double bottom here, like we wouldn't come back and do it again. That would be your floor.
yeah, I think it would be more concerning from a liquidity standpoint if we do actually like do something like this, basically. Like that would be concerning.
Yeah, that would be.
But I'm that's not my expectation. But I do, I do look at when I look at that high time frame on ETH, that did look pretty much exactly like this redistribution
Yeah. It does.
here.
It definitely does.
Yeah. It's,
I
You
mean,
already
that
know
takes you to like $500 basically.
yeah. And I think that's before this leg too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is before that leg. I didn't even I saw that leg and it went to leg 0 and I said
Yeah.
no.
I was overlaying it on mine and I was like, I don't think this is realistic.
And Tommy, see
Yeah.
that June markdown, the final leg there?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we're like towards the tail end of that. That distribution right there took 30 days before the next leg down. I think if you took a fractal and put that over where we're at right now, a lot of similarities, especially the first wick.
I actually don't even think I need to overlay it because I already have it hidden somewhere on here. I've got too many of these.
What would that imply? Like 29K?
What are you talking about? 29?
Yeah, the fractal you just talked about, where we distribute up for like a
No.
month.
I don't
Like
no,
that?
no. It would imply like Yeah, no, it would imply basically like
I got the squeeze.
27K. Yeah, there it is, Tommy, and then like zero. You know,
That's
not
fun.
actually zero, but like straight down.
Still
That's
waiting
cool.
for a
That's
pop
cool.
above here. I think we'll get it.
I hope we
It will
don't,
probably
honestly.
be something super ridiculously scammy like that. Wick and then bleed, and then distribute for maybe like 12 hours and aggressively BART.
Mm.
I don't know if we're gonna get up there, man.
I don't either. It looks really weak.
You know what pattern it's
Or
painting right
rejecting
now,
from you.
man.
What's it called again?
I don't know. Will's come up with many names for it.
We'll keep it PG. It's the limp sausage pattern. Okay.
Yeah, it's the limp sausage pattern.
I don't know. I mean, dude, I've got limits set up there for Bitcoin. If it happens to get up there close to 27, I'll get filled and I'd be happy about it. But truthfully, I see a lot of sideline cope of people that really want to short 27K. Maybe it happens. You know, if it does, I'll be there, but
This also to me signals downside. Ironically, it makes no sense to you if you're viewing it just as a pair, but one of these pairs has had upside this year, one has not. So if one's going to outperform, what is that going to mean for one of them? Probably the one that has outperformed is going to underperform. And that means, optimism, which has been going up all year, is probably going to underperform ARB, which has had a very muted sell side all year. So if we go lower, I think that's a bull case for this pair. Which is following the fractal I have not touched since we put it on market check like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It might have been here that we put this bad boy on there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Ox PA. Speaking of Ox.
Yeah, let's go.
I think Ox could go down to potentially. I drew a volume profile on it. Can you just put a lifetime VP on there, Tommy?
Yeah.
Because I think it could visit its range low. And I think it was maybe 2 cents.
Ooh.
I could see that ish, somewhere right in there. Potentially, right? Like I still have a big bag of Ox. I'm probably not going to sell it till I think that the top is in next cycle. But I think that's a potential reaccumulation area, especially if the rest of crypto pukes.
Yeah. This is honestly like one of the only bags that I'm going to have conviction in for next cycle that I know now.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, look, I traded it all the way up. We got in really early. I took some profits pretty close to the highs, which was controversial at the time. But I got all my principal back. So I have my cost basis on my bag is $0. Like I cannot lose any money on it. So I don't really care what happens to it because I believe in the project, which is a good spot to be in. It's definitely a good spot to be in. So if it goes back down to 2 cents, 2.5 cents, I mean, I would accumulate aggressively, no doubt.
For sure. I think I don't know about 2. I think 2.5 to 3 is your golden zone right there.
I would agree.
That is something we haven't talked about in a minute. And I feel
wrecked,
like nobody's talked about in a minute.
Wrecked.
Why is nobody talking about CRV while it looks like that?
For the life of me, I cannot understand why nobody's talking about CRV, despite if it nukes, this is probably the black swan event for ETH. Like it's sitting right in front of you.
Can you invert that chart for me, Tommy?
Oh God.
This is one of those charts that just prints a straight up God candle. If it's
Mhm.
inverted, like straight up in a straight line.
I mean, that's clearly going to zero. Like
Tommy, tell us how you really feel, please.
I have this big red line for his liquidation price. I can't wait till we tag it.
That's one of those patterns that just goes straight up.
He was bragging in chats right after he over the countered for 40 cents that he wishes he would have sold more at like $6. He wishes he would have dumped all his curve on plebes at $6.
I mean, I don't blame him. I
He's,
would be
I mean,
feeling
he's
the same
right,
way.
but it's just like, how do you
Yeah.
say that as a founder and then expect anybody to buy the token?
My thought is, as soon as that OTC deal went through,
Never gonna
my
tag-
thought was, oh wow, you don't think we're even going back up there,
we're
man?
never
You must
tagging
really
that
think
word
it's
again, man.
yeah. The
Never again.
my thought is like, dude, as soon as that OTC deal went through, what would I have done if I purchased that bag OTC? The first thing I would have done is headed over to DYDX and just created a synthetic pair. If I bought 10 million of curve, I would have shorted 10 million of curve. So I just have a guaranteed 20%, even if the bag goes to zero, you know, and I'd
I
be
would have
slowly,
probably put on the directional short a little bit too, honestly.
oh,
Maybe 15 mil.
just a
15 to
nibble,
10.
just a little nibble.
Yeah, just a dash.
I cannot stop shorting Matic, man. I know exactly where that open interest is located too. Can dive deep into that. I'll show you guys exactly where it came in, and we can maybe wrap
It
things up.
was when a very famous person tweeted or telegrammed it, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, you can see here, like, we haven't really had any open interest come off.
Question
But
for
all
you,
the
Tommy.
shorts have come in since here, so they're underwater, waiting for the pop.
Question for you, Tommy. Is there any scenario where, even though Matic is so heavily shorted, that even the people that have been overly aggressive here at these lows just get away with it? I know you trade Matic a lot, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all down to supply and demand, right? We have 93 million in OI total in Matic. This candle right here, this blow off candle that went that went like 15% to the upside. I mean, it cleaned almost 30 million out of the market entirely. So you'd just be talking about a complete decimation of open interest. And I don't think that we have enough. Like, we went sideways for a long time before this pop.
and
This
it was a
is
news driven
probably
pop more than anything, right?
Yeah.
So
They might be, where's this gap? I don't think they're going to fill. They might be filling this gap on open interest. They're not going to fill it on the candlestick, I don't think. But interesting, we had that gap right there. Very interesting. Just like pay attention to the anomalies on open interest, but otherwise it's probably going to do something like just keep grinding higher, maybe like a quick wick into that, and then it's going to bleed. Like once the squeeze is done, you'll see it with Matic repeatedly. Once the squeeze is done, there's no demand. It just drops, right? Like, you have the squeeze, no demand, drop. Squeeze, no demand, drop. Squeeze, drop. Squeeze, drop.
So you're confident that what we're seeing right now, people are still shorting this. The open interest that's come in since those lows, it's not longs, right?
Yes, given that, and we can look at it too, right? We can look at funding rate.
Tommy, what is that propaganda at the bottom of the screen?
What is this?
Should we play it? Should we spin the wheel?
My God, Coinzilla ad.
Oh no.
Yeah, so since this low, I mean, you can see the basis it went from positive to negative. So people started shorting basically like right away, which is funny because it was after the drop. But yeah, no, I think you want to see this basis either flip long because people are longing or because people got liquidated shorting it. Now look at Bybit. I don't love seeing that Bybit's funding is lower than Binance. But it can, I will say, like, funding can change very quickly in this environment because it only takes like probably 2 or 3 million in open interest to flip funding entirely. But let's see, we have, as long as we are above that, shorts are going to have a tough time. Because that's where the open interest, the majority of the open interest came in. That's short biased.
Interesting.
Context.
So if we so do you think if we deviate back below that blue line, just on the price chart, you'd start to see open interest actually start to flush there maybe, or open interest could keep climbing and price would then move down? Because
I'm sure it would flush a little bit if we dropped. I just don't know who's longing it. I think we're going up simply because shorts are closing.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do like the pop. We're gonna break the structure when the pop is done. It's gonna have a really shallow shoulder, and then it's just gonna probably consolidate here before going.
So no true bid. No true bids. It's literally
No
just short
bid.
closing.
Bidless.
It is
Bidless.
bidless. It's literally bidless. I mean, let's be honest, guys. We can't even support 10, 20, 30 million market cap coins. And, you know, who's going to be supporting $5 billion Matic in addition to $10 billion Sol, $2 billion Atom, 11-figure dog shit. I mean, like that, I pardon my French, but that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, dude, no one, we're going so much lower, man. Like, who knows? It could take a little bit of time, but I will say when Matic does decide to flush, I mean, there's a lot of liquidations that can occur here, man. I mean, here's the thing. I'm sure that most of this grind up, like you mentioned, Tommy, is shorts just getting squeezed out of the market, over leveraged shorts. But there's definitely some longs building up as well.
Yes.
At least it appears, at least according to High Block, which I think their product is pretty good. It's been pretty reliable. It's not perfect all the time, but I think it's been pretty solid. It definitely appears as though there's a little bit of yes, it's a combination of a short squeeze and like a mechanical twop upward. So we'll see. It kind of seems like to me, these parabolas, when you finally like break the parabola, it's just completely over.
Yes.
It's what we've been watching on chain coins all year. Is when the parabola finally breaks. Actually, I'm gonna go to Tucker. Tucker, can you draw a parabola for me
I was
right now?
literally about to before.
But
you
bring it back even further, brother. You ain't seen propaganda yet. There you go. Yeah.
We're about to bend time with this parabola.
Yes, sir. When the parabola breaks, you could tighten it up. Yeah, that's a deviation right there. That little dip.
Yeah.
You could tighten it up even more, Tucker. No. Like that one. Yeah, like something like that. Yep, that's the one. When you break that parabola, that's when you go stairs up, elevator down. This is stairs up. Elevator down comes after the parabola breaks, but it could continue to hold the parabola for a little bit longer. Like you could go straight up and then it does that thing Tommy talked about where, after you see the big liquidation or the big flush, then it just completely nukes. So you don't know when it's going to happen, but keep an eye on it.
I mean, it's basically just like if I had to guess, a spot TWAP, probably pushing price into asks, pushing price into liquidations, which also makes the funding negative, and also why you see, when we had the huge dislocation at the highs, the 15% candle, funding was still negative, and then it went positive after the liquidation event was over. So I think there probably is a little bit. I don't have like the spot CBDs on me right now, but I would bet that's probably, if I were a market maker, that's what I would be doing. Just like TWAPing spot, knowing that you can ignite a squeeze and then distributing your spot into that liquidity.
Yeah. I think it's going to do my inverse fractal, man. I mean, we'll see where it stops, right? It's pretty aggressive, but
I don't think it's going to squeeze too much higher.
You don't think we get that?
Sorry, I went back to mine.
I don't think we're going back to 80 cents on Matic, man. The highest I could see is probably like 59, 60 cents.
Yeah, that's where I got it right there.
That's kind of like your range high-ish.
Because I think if you get above that, you're talking about a full-blown reversal in trend.
Yeah.
So maybe one more classic Matic squeeze wick to 58 or 59.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
And then we head to the swamp with Shrek. Oh God, Tucker, erase that.
Well,
man.
that's what happens if you flip it, man.
Get that out of here.
I think from like a positioning standpoint, it's going to be more efficient on a lot of these assets to position at literally at support. And I know that's going to be a very uncomfortable thing for a lot of people, but when you have altcoins that are going to be building a lot of value at the lows, it's probably going to be a signal that things are going to nuke. So yeah, you can position probably partially on a big wick higher, but there is the threat of the squeeze, right? So I don't know. I think the highest probability entry on a lot of these altcoins is going to be just before the breakdown.
Dude, I think this is the squeeze, low key, Tommy. Sol is up 5%.
Is it?
Yeah, I think this is the squeeze. Like Matic squeezing today. Matic was squeezing all weekend through today. Sol's up 5%. You're seeing a lot of altcoins that don't deserve to be green, very green.
Wow.
This might be the squeeze. You know, this might be that lower high.
Bitcoin is just not a participant.
It kind of goes back to what I want to re-raise this question that I posed last week, where, you know, right before FTX blew up, they were way overhedged into the lows, and Bitcoin pumped from 18K to 22K very, very quickly. And I want to say that their hedges blew up. Binance is once again, you know, most negative funding across the board. So they're probably overhedged to the downside.
So you think that the implication of that is that CZ and the boys are preparing for a nuke across the board, and they're trying to protect whatever collateral they have.
I think they're trying to mute volatility on a lot of these assets, hedge their holdings.
Yeah.
And it's such an illiquid market that funding is not like it. Funding has made it very unfavorable for them to do that in any meaningful size. But their funding across their exchange indicates, you know, that they're probably shorting stuff. And I assume it's probably because they're hedging, or like their market making desk is their internal trading desk, whatever you want to call it, is probably hedging. And that's why a lot of these altcoins are maybe so negative. But what we saw on those huge spikes last week was that funding reset, which I think if Nance were the aggressor and just shorting the crap out of the market, you would think that the negative funding wouldn't dissipate. But I think Nance is getting squeezed on these pops, just like retail. And it is kind of like narrowing the exit door slowly but surely.
I see.
Oh,
That's an interesting theory.
yeah, I like it. Yeah, there she is.
This is the de facto hammer area. I mean, it shouldn't. I guess I could maybe see Sol once again going back to like 22 if they really put the squeeze on, but I think this is your squeeze day. This is it. I mean, altcoins were squeezing on the weekend. You see Sol up 5% on the day. I have no doubt that this is going to roll back over just like the previous ones.
Well, if anything is going to telegraph market directionality, it is ironically going to be Solana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
just realized we've been going for about an hour and 40 minutes. How many likes we got on the video?
Better be 50. Been going for a long time. Let's see. 41, not bad.
Boom.
Not a bad day. This is what I'm looking at on Sol. This is effectively your level right here. We really, this is it. If you come back up into this box, I mean, you should stay below here, no question. You probably don't even get back up into this box.
That should probably remain as a deviation beyond wicks.
Yeah, I mean, this is safe right here. I don't think we should get back up there. Not at all. Like, I think this is ridiculous, man. This is so clearly a short squeeze. Look at this.
Pull up the OI suite on that.
On Sol?
Yeah.
Let me do that. I haven't looked at Sol OI in a minute. I usually don't ever try to short it, which is weird because it tends to, when it dies, it literally just rolls. Let me share my screen.
I mean, open interest
I mean,
It
it's
looks like it's
climbing,
shorts
but
getting taken out of the market, truthfully.
yeah.
Oh my God.
There's just not that big of a change. Oh wow.
But I think there's people longing. What's the funding on Sol? Is it really negative?
We would have to see the funding at this specific increase on OI. So I mean, it's negative, right? But that
Yeah.
doesn't tell us anything necessarily. So okay, let's look a little bit more granularly. I think people are shorting it because our funding is going down as we're going higher. Either that or it's spot TWAPing, like I said.
No, it's not.
It could be spot TWAPing in the sense that it literally just wants to distribute maybe 10 or 15% higher, but that could be what's
Can you
creating.
pull up spot CVD on here and see if we see a spike?
I don't think you can do that, can you?
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
go to
yeah,
indicators.
go down,
No,
go down.
so stay on the chart where you're at,
Go
Tommy.
down, go down.
Go to indicators at the top
Oh,
and then type in CVD and you can put in
nice.
aggregated CVD spot. Okay, so
Yep,
there
there
is
it is. Yep. So they're TWAPing into asks probably and gonna take some shorts out. So I would watch. Let's see.
You can add OI and all that on the same chart.
Oh, I mean, OI really hasn't.
Yeah, it hasn't done a whole lot.
So this is largely spot driven on Sol, at least it appears, which is really bizarre.
Let's see that.
Somebody's trying to distribute their soul.
We got this gap in OI right here.
I wonder who it could be.
The
Could
gap
it be someone from prison on their phone?
probably tag this level if I'm being honest.
That was funny, Tucker.
Pretty crazy.
Can you imagine?
It'd be so funny if that came out.
Distribute Solana from prison phones.
What the F is this? Third highest
Flamingo.
volume is Flamingo, and you're not bearish.
Oh my gosh, what is that?
Another Binance scam. Jesus. They must have unlocks coming up. Oh my God. Imagine your Tuesday getting ruined because you decided to short Flamingo coin.
Should we short that thing right now?
I'm not touching it, man. I'm not touching that.
Just on principle.
They all end like this. Like, I don't want to touch that.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
Let's look at LPT, same thing. Just disgusting.
Dude, when did when did Life here become a coin that was just like tossed around by OI?
TRB loves to scam. Yep, doing it again. I mean, it's just like Binance can't even really squeeze big coins that much anymore. They have to resort to this trash. This was hysterical, by the way.
Yeah.
This is a literal murder, man. Like somebody should be in prison for this. 120 million in OI shed from top to bottom.
I remember funding was like minus 4,000% APY on it for just a minute.
God, yeah, no, somebody absolutely belongs in prison for this pattern. That's pretty unbelievable painting. And they're gonna bring it all the way back down here.
That's so true. They'll erase that whole OI profile all the way back down to the point of origin.
And you know what? It was just because now they can dump some unlocks a little bit more expensive. So
good for them. Good for them.
Some stuff going on. And some stuff going on at Nance for sure. I think they have. If you're talking about a chart of like how much they even give a crap anymore about, I mean they probably already know they're done, right? If they're doing stuff like this.
So they're just dumping the shittiest.
They're just juicing it. Yeah, they're just trying to make some money before it.
Because there's no way you could be P&Ding these micro caps during an SEC and DOJ investigation. Like, what are you doing?
The last hurrah.
Unless you know the outcome already.
So it's like it's almost like they got locked out of their account and they know they're not getting the money, so they might as well just like degen. It's an act of desperation is what it is. It's just
Yeah, something's up, man. Whether it's desperation, whether it's trying to keep the exchange afloat, I don't know. But there's some shady stuff going on at Nance, and I don't think that headwind has gone anywhere.
It's all priced in, Tommy. Haven't you heard?
It's definitely not priced in, man.
No shot.
It's priced in that the number one market mover hasn't sold, like would have to forcibly sell everything. Yeah, that's I don't, I know you're being sarcastic, Tucker, but it's just like people don't even think things through before they say them. But we have been going for a really long time. It was a bit of a bearish posture on this show, guys. I'm not going to lie, but I'm pretty
neutral, Tommy. It was pretty neutral. I don't know what you're doing.
But I'm pretty bearish for September. So I felt like it was a very fair show given what we're seeing from a high time frame on a lot of these technicals. It is a put up or shut up place for bulls. If you expect Bitcoin, if you expect altcoins to see continuation later this year, to form a higher low here, you bid. And if you don't, then the breakdown from 25K could be pretty dramatic. Just based on what we were kind of sifting through today. But yeah, I don't think we're still lacking clarity in crypto. Yes, equities are strong, but if equities give, what does that mean for crypto? Questions that we've asked before. I won't dwell on them too long. But I do think it increasingly sets the stage for the type of price action that we could see in September. But huge shout out to all of you guys who are still sitting in the stream, especially if you've been here since we got started. Love to see that we got all the likes on the video. Love to see the support. Appreciate y'all so much for being here on this Tuesday morning. We love hosting these shows. And if you really love, the content, want a bit more of an intimate access of kind of how we're viewing the market, how we're trading it, we do have some premium content linked in the description of this YouTube video, as well as the link tree of our Twitter bio. But guys, thank you so much for being here. Like I said, have a great rest of your Tuesday. I am going to go get something to eat and try not to be doom posting too much, right? But I think it's going to be a little tough this month, truthfully. But have a great rest of your Tuesday and stay safe, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.